Okay, it's preview time. Rutgers travels across country to take on the USC Trojans on a short week. Friday night, late game. A lot of people talking about the travel and the jet lag and the timing of the game that won't work to Rutgers' favor. Let's get to it. A lot of talk, even at the beginning of the year, that Rutgers traveling in the USC would be a tough game. I think I'm a little bit flabbergasted with all that chatter. Other teams, Washington came, Piscataway did very well. They wind up losing, but they had 550 yards of offense. Kind of moved up and down the field on us. When Wisconsin came in, they're not going coast to coast, but they win 42-7. And then UCLA, with one of the worst offenses in the country, travels cross country to beat us 35-32. Garbers had a really good game on offense, 32 for 38, 383 yards, and another 40-some-odd yards rushing. So I don't feel the travel, the timing, the short week, all that, to me, doesn't matter. Go out and play well and give yourselves opportunities to win. This matchup has bothered me since before the start of the season. I just feel we don't match up well against USC. They're a high-powered team that even in their losses, they're averaging 400 yards per game. So we've struggled against Washington. We struggle against Wisconsin. We struggle against UCLA. It's not going to get better against USC. They average about 433 yards per game. In the red zone, 92-93%. They've only allowed 10 sacks, so if we have any visions of getting in Moss's face and getting him to the ground and causing disruption, there's not a very high probability of that. They average 30 points per game. I feel that this game can potentially be really ugly for us. I don't feel that we're going to keep it close despite USC's 3-4 record, losing games late. They have 4 losses: Minnesota, Penn State, Maryland, and Michigan. In all those losses, with the exception of Michigan, because Michigan is who Michigan is when it comes to wanting to run the ball and not throwing it very proficiently. The passing game was very good for those other teams, and so that's something that we really focus on. Minnesota, Maryland, and Penn State all had either efficient or a lot of yards, a lot of pass completions to help beat USC. And that's one of the areas where USC is vulnerable, kind of like UCLA, to be quite honest with you. But we didn't, even though the offense played better, we couldn't take full advantage of that. If we're going to beat USC, we're going to have to come out like we did in the second half against UCLA when we were aggressive. We came out throwing the ball, quick slants underneath, getting completions, catching the ball, setting up the run by passing, and then getting Kyle his run so he can get his 7-8 yard, 10-yard runs. That's our opportunity against USC. We're not going to be able to keep pace with them in a shootout, but a type of game where we want to be aggressive offensively and kind of play with them, not having to count on our defense of playing over their heads like they did in Nebraska, is going to be the formula. We'll just have to, despite them having a 92% red zone offense efficiency, we're just going to have to be that game like in Minnesota or Maryland. We're going to have to be able to make a stop or be the last team with the ball and getting a score late, because we're just not going to be able to compete with them series to series. Moss completes 64% of his passes, 14 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, nothing too daunting. They rushed the ball fairly well. Woody Marks, 118 rushes, 661 yards. He averages a little over 5 yards per carry. Quentin Joyner, 33 rushes, 300 yards, 9.1 yards per carries. So they have balance there. They have 5 receivers over 25 catches each. They're going to spread the ball around. They're going to throw it. They're going to spread the ball around to their receivers and be able to run it to their top two backs with the kind of efficiency that's going to keep you off balance defensively. And the struggles that we've had on defense, covering receivers, stopping the running game, setting the edge, this is going to be a problem for us. USC's defense, not too daunting. Only have 8 sacks. We should be able to protect Ethan fairly well. And this is where the opportunities are. We protect Ethan. USC defense has only forced 11 turnovers, so that's manageable. 361 yards per game they give up. That's okay. If we can get in that 361-yard range, I think we have an opportunity to be there in the end of this game. But the real opportunity is in the passing game, because opposition offenses complete 70% of their passes against this USC defense. So Kirk Shiraka is going to have to be on his game this week for sure. We're going to have to be more aggressive. We're going to have to be more willing to throw the ball. Not complicated, easy slant screen passes. Maybe a bubble screen, tight end screen. The tight end room is kind of banged up. Not sure how that's going to work out for this week. Third down defense. Surprisingly, I was surprised to see this. USC, their third down defense very good, 25%. So we're going to have to do well on first and second down. Handing the ball off to Kyle up the middle on first down and getting 2-3 yards is not going to get the job done. We have to be more fluid. There has to be more synergy between the passing and running game like we had on that first drive in the second half against UCLA. And then we're now going to have to do better than, I think it's 73% red zone offense. It's not very good. I think that's like 120th in the country. So some of these keys to success carry over week to week. We're going to have third down success. We're going to have to do well in the red zone. Defensively, ideally, if we can have a game like we did against Washington where USC gets their yards, but they make a mistake, turn the ball over, prevent them from getting into the end zone despite a 92% red zone efficiency. We're going to have some luck on our side. We're going to have to be on our game. They pass it 61% of the time. They rush it 39% of the time. So it's pretty obvious what they're going to want to do. You know, if they're averaging 433 yards a game, it's okay if they get their yards. But if USC is getting 500 yards per game, this is going to be a game that we lose. And USC absolutely will cover that 14.5 point spread. So can we win? We have opportunities, but our pass efficiency is going to have to be on point. We're going to have to pass the ball effectively. USC is not going to pressure us all that much. Actually, you know, the offensive line did a pretty good job against UCLA. Taj White had a pretty decent game. He seems to be getting better as the weeks go on. But we're going to have to execute. That means no more drop passes. That means having play calling and a game plan that's well conceived and not just defaulting to what it is we want to do, and that's running the ball predominantly to Kyle on those spread offense or RPO offensive plays. In those games where the quarterbacks for USC's opposition did well, you know, Minnesota was Didn't throw a lot, but they were 15 for 19. They were efficient. Alar for Penn State, 30 of 43. And had almost 400 yards. Edwards for Maryland. I don't know that you want to throw the ball 50 times, but he completed 39 passes for 373 yards. Michigan was only, 7 for 12 in their passing game, but that's not what they want to do. They ran the ball for almost 300 yards. If we can run for just about 300 yards, I think we have a good opportunity to win this game, because the really strange anomaly in USC losses is that the time of possession was very even. I think that one of the games that they had the ball for maybe 3 or 4 minutes more, and they still lost. But what that says is if you can control the pace of the game and have a balance between running and throwing it and make plays in the end when you need to, we're going to have an opportunity to win. I happen to think that that doesn't play to our strength. USC was ahead in all the games that they lost. We're not that team that comes from behind. And we like to play from ahead, especially early in the season against teams that are, FCS teams or just FBS teams that are, or FBS teams that are just not very good. We did have a big comeback win against Michigan State last year in the rain and the slop and the turnovers and the special teams block bunt. But that's not who we are. Fundamentally, we're not a team. We like to play from ahead. If we can get ahead, we're not a team to come storming back from 2 scores down to pull a game out at the end of the game. So this game is going to be a challenge. Would I be surprised if we lost, 49-13, 49-17? Absolutely, positively not. This is a big game that's going to set the tone and set the path forward as we finish out this season. It's very frustrating year after year watching Rutgers fade down the stretch due to injuries, poor play, whatever it might be. This is a time of year that's become an albatross around our neck. If we can take advantage of the opportunities that we just talked about, we can be there in the end and pull out a win against USC, despite them being 3-4. This would be a good win. And I think will help project us, put us on a trajectory to get another 1 or 2 down the road against, a team like Michigan State or Minnesota or Maryland. And that would put us in pretty good shape to be where we thought we might be at the end of the year. 6-6, 7-5, kind of be a disappointment after the much anticipated season. Nonetheless, this is where we are as a team. You are what your record says you are. Let's go out and beat USC. Those are some keys, and we'll have some last-minute thoughts before game time this Friday. Enjoy your week, everybody, and we'll see you the next time.